Welcome to the Transforming Leadership Podcast with author and speaker Dr. Steve Steff. I'm Jim Brangenberg, your host for the day. For more information about Dr. Steff and how the Transforming Leadership team builds effectiveness in leaders, please look online at tleadership.com. That's tleadership.com. Now let's join Dr. Steff in the studio. Hi, I'm Jim Brangenberg with Transforming Leadership, and I'm joined today by Dr. Steve Steff. Hey, Steve, before we begin, I thought it would be a great idea to remind people that we're currently working through what we refer to as the Transforming Leadership Proverbs. These are some sayings or truisms that you and the Transforming Leadership team have coined over the years to help leaders. Today, I thought it'd be fun if we focused on the leadership proverb, people perform best for those they care about and for those that care about them. Would that be all right?
Great start. Great start. Thanks, Jim.
Steve, tell me what you mean by people perform best for those that they care about and for those that care about them. What is that? What do you mean?
Jim, there's a difference in, let's say, your job description, for instance, and what we call a transforming leader profile. So if you want someone that's really going to work well, that's going to succeed, that's going to exceed your expectations, that's really going to shine, that is generally based on relationship. Well, it's not even generally based on relationship. It's always based on relationship. People work best for those that they care about and for those that care about them. If you have if you have 5 calls throughout the day, you're just jam busy. You've got more than you could possibly do, and you have 5 people that have called and left messages. Who are you going to call back first? You're going to call back first the one that you have the relationship with, the one that you want to talk with, the one that you want to have an exchange with. That's just natural. That's the way we work. So if you're in the sales department, for instance, and let's say your customer service manager, and you respond to the sales department, and you've got 5 different salespeople that you work with. Some of those salespeople are much better at developing the relationship with you. They are kind to you, quite frankly. They're considerate. They work on the relationship, not just getting their needs met, but the relationship itself. And then all of a sudden, all of those salespeople at the end of the day call and they need something. Who are you going to service first? You're going to service the one that you have the relationship with. It's just natural. So the other end of that is all of us bring our home lives, our personal lives into the workplace. And the better, the healthier our relationship with our people, the more likely we are to know about and understand the challenges that they are dealing with. And then when we take into consideration the challenges that they're dealing with, they will work better, and we can better serve them in the process. Is that making sense?
Well, it's beginning to make sense, and I really think it goes back to looking at the person as a human instead of a number. I mean, it goes back to going, they're not just a figure on a profit and loss or on a balance sheet as an asset. They are actually a human being.
Exactly.
And they're not just a human they're not a human doing, they're a human being. So
Yeah.
how do you actually shift that mindset to look at people as people and to realize they come flawed, they come with issues, they come with some days extraordinary challenges, but they are people that we've invested in, and we want to get the best out of it.
Yeah, and that's a great question, and I will tell you that it's not easy because it goes against our maybe even our training and experience as far as a manager or a leader. We work with primarily senior leaders. Those senior leaders are absolutely focused on the key performance indicators, the metrics that they need to drive. So developing that relationship takes intentional relationship building time. You know our intentional leader manager program that you're familiar with. The first component of that intentional leader manager program is the connecting module. And the connecting module is a one-on-one meeting every week with every one of your direct reports. It's a business meeting, but it's specifically designed to build the relationship and to build trust. And it's trust and the relationship get better and better and better and healthier and healthier and healthier. Not you meddling in their lives, but you giving them a platform or giving them the opportunity to share. It communicates that you care about them.
Yeah, but what does that meeting look like? Because a lot of times, if I'm calling an employee into my office and they know we're going to talk about, how are they doing, how are they performing, what's it, the tasks that I've given them, and how are they completing them, they're coming in to give me a report. How do we turn that kind of a meeting into a relationship building event? Because it's almost like they're a dichotomy. Like you're coming in for one thing, but you really want to accomplish the other. How do you do both at the same time?
That you're exactly right. It is always a business meeting. I would tell you that, in my opinion, one of the least developed skills for senior leaders is asking effective questions. So if we build a repertoire of questions, if we really build the skill of learning to ask effective questions, then we're the one leading the conversation. And I do want reports, and I do want to know how the various projects are going. What we sometimes don't take into account, Jim, is that if you work for me, for instance, and I need information from you, all I've got to do is go by your cubicle or give you a call or whatever, and you will respond because, quite frankly, you work for me.
Right. You're right. You're
Now,
signing the check.
on the other hand, if you need something from me, keeping in mind that you work for me, if you need something from me, unless there is a specific time set aside for that, it's a lot more difficult for you to get my time than it is for me to get yours. So I own the meeting, I run the meeting, I'm responsible for what happens during the meeting, and I have an opportunity to just say, Jim, just tell me how you're doing. Tell me how things are going with the COVID issue right now. You and your family, are you feeling safe? What's happening? That's a good question.
Okay, it is a good question, but I gotta believe that if I'm sitting in that chair across the desk from you and you're asking questions about me, it doesn't create a relationship. It gives you more information about me. In order to have a relationship, I need to know stuff about you. So are
Exactly.
you, as a leader, open to me asking you that question? Hey, Steve, how are you and your family doing about COVID? How is it impacting you and your parents? I know that you got aging parents. I mean, whatever that conversation may be, I believe it's got to go both ways.
I would not only be open to it, Jim, I would invite it. And I would set myself up to offer it so that the employee, the direct report, however you want to refer to them, so that they know that that's equal ground, so that they know that that's fair territory there. I'm going to plan for that meeting. Always plan for your meetings, even the relationship building ones. I'm going to plan for that meeting so that I'm prepared to share some of what's going on in my life, so that it kind of sets the agenda and sets the house rules for what the expectation is, or at least what the allowance is on the other side. But before I get too far into that, I want to be clear. I'm not requiring you to share from your personal life and home life. I'm just creating a platform where you will know and where you will sense that it's safe to share if you choose to. And you have the opportunity and you have the safety. That's all we're looking for.
Well, we said that this was a transforming leadership proverb or a truism. People perform best for those they care about and for those that care about them. We need to define, or we need to answer the question, how can we make sure that our people know that we care about them? Let's just even maybe use the word love. How can we, because for everybody listening, I hope I didn't shock you, but if our people don't know that they're loved and appreciated, I mean, that's what we're talking about. They perform best for people that they know care about them and those they care about. So in that meeting or in our interactions with people, how do we get to that level where people know that it's more than just me writing your paycheck?
I'm going to ask you questions relative to your personal life and your personal well-being. And quite frankly, I'm probably going to make notes on those so that when we get together again next week, I can follow up on those questions and see if there's been any progress made, check on your children, check on whatever it was that we discussed. So I'm going to maintain the thread of that conversation so that I'm invested in it. I was paying attention. I wasn't just checking the box, because that happens. And I may even stop by and check on you in the yard or something and ask, tell me how this is going. But I've got to communicate with you on a personal level, not just a business and performance level.
how do you bring in, how does transparency and vulnerability on the part of the leader come into play in all of this, helping our people know that we care about them so that they perform the best?
Yeah, if I don't share anything about me, then it might come across as, well, I'm just meddling or I'm just checking the box. But I'm willing to share about myself as well. When you and I talked, when you and I spoke last on the phone, you asked about Jeremiah. I live in Boone, North Carolina. My son, that you know, lives in Wellington, North Carolina. He and his wife, Erin. You asked how they were doing, how they fare with the storm. I gave you a report from them. So you indicated an interest in my life, and I shared with you willingly, openly, about my life and what's going on up here. It's that exchange. There's got to be an exchange, as you mentioned earlier. The absence of an exchange, I'm just checking the box.
Do you find that it's valuable for a leader to engage his or her people outside of the workplace in order to deepen that relationship?
I would tell you that I personally, I won't say I guard against that, but I do that with some caution, because we have to maintain the mindset that this is a leader subordinate relationship. That doesn't negate the fact that I care for you. That doesn't negate the fact that I want to be involved with and help you in your personal life. But I need to keep in front of mind all the time that we are not on an equal footing in the workplace, because I'm the leader, you're the subordinate. So I I'm I say, yes, do that, but do it guardedly. Don't become one of the boys, because when you become one of the boys, you lose your position of authority.
All right. So in summarizing, the transforming leadership proverb we're talking about today, people perform best for those they care about and for those that care about them. What's the best way to accomplish this on a day-to-day basis with the people? And whether we're doing remote employees, because for a lot of months people have been doing remote employees, or whether we're
Yeah.
doing in-person employees, what's the best way to accomplish that?
Okay. So I'm glad you asked that. I'm going to start that with I'm going to answer that with a don't do first. When you do organizational activities, those are good. Those are great. I appreciate and I applaud those. You're having a cookout for all your team. Good for you. But that doesn't build relationship. Relationship is built based on one-on-one exchange of information and exchange of concern. So the best way to do it, ask questions. That's it. Tell me how. That's it. That's the lead. Tell me how you're doing, Jim. Tell me how Martha's doing. Tell me how you're handling the issue right now. Tell me how the move to Fort Myers went. Tell me how your health is since your organ donation sometime back. Those tell me questions express concern and empathy with what's going on with you and your family.
And it's also important, as you mentioned earlier, that it's okay for the employee to turn the table and ask questions personally as
Absolutely.
well.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I would say prime that pump by not just waiting for them to ask those questions, but go ahead and share some of that proactively, so that they understand this is the way it works. It is an exchange there. Yeah, it's a relationship. Relationship has to have exchange, or otherwise it's just interrogation, right?
That's right. And if we want our people to perform the best, they need to exist in an environment that is positive. They need to
I trust.
high trust environment, and they need to know that they're appreciated,
Yeah,
and they need to know that they're cared for, and they will respond significantly better than in an environment where they don't feel those things.
absolutely. We're in a high pressure environment even before our current health crisis, if you want to call it that. It's still a work. The workplace is by design a high pressure environment. So you relieve some of that pressure by ensuring that there is a underlying relationship that's the foundation of your expectations. If your expectations are based on nothing other than you meeting my needs, it's seldom a high performance workplace, and it's never a good workplace to exist
Mm.
in. Yeah.
Any final things you want to add to that before we finish up today's podcast?
No, I think that's the phrase, and these proverbs that we're sharing right in this time frame, Jim. They're proverbs because they're easy to remember. And, truisms, you know why they call them truisms?
Because
They're true. Yeah, because they're true. This is not absolute, but boy, it's the vast majority of the time people perform best for those they care about and for those that care about them.
Thank you, Dr. Steve Steff.
Thanks, Jim.
And to our listeners, as always, please check us out online. The Transforming Leadership website is tleadership.com. That's tleadership.com. You'll find a phone number there as well as an information form. If you have any questions or if there's any way Transforming Leadership can serve you, please give us a call or drop us a note. And that ends our discussion for today. Thanks for listening to the Transforming Leadership podcast with author and speaker Dr. Steve Steff. For more information on how Dr. Steff and the Transforming Leadership team can help you become a more effective leader, please look online at tleadership.com. That's tleadership.com. Until next time, remember, building effectiveness in leaders starts with the transformation of your heart towards your people.